Today I fucked up by breathing COVID fumes. I'm a doctor working in the ER and there are a lot of COVID patients every day. I know the routine of putting on all the protective gear, the masks, the treatments. This wasn't my first rodeo with COVID. The patient is older, and is currently hypoxic, not getting enough oxygen, and I am suspecting a superinfection with bacterial pneumonia on top. At first the patient is on 3 liters of O2, but the nurse calls me in because she can't get an arterial blood sample and it needs to be done with ultrasound to find the artery. Get into all the gear, go in with scanner, get the sample, evaluate the person, increase oxygen, get out and confer with my attending, get all the COVID regiment going. The patient desaturates again. Oxygen saturation needs to be above 95% in people with no lung diseases. Above 92% can be acceptable in COVID cases. The patient is at 84%. On goes the gear, new arterial blood sample, increase oxygen, stabilize the patient. Rinse and repeat until I've been into the room 6 times to stabilize the patient, who is quickly getting worse. I know the protective gear, it's like a reflex to put it all on correctly by now. But the patient is still getting worse, so I put them on high flow oxygen treatment, 35 liters of flow and 35% oxygen levels. I talk to the ICU, because this patient is rapidly deteriorating and there is one spot free, so I nab that like a greedy little gremlin. Just before the patient is getting transferred, the O2 levels drops again to 68% and the nurse calls me in a panic to tell me that the patient is crashing. I rush into the protective gear, get in there and crank the high flow to the max. Eventually I manage to stabilize the patient enough for transport and they go to the ICU. An hour later they're on a respirator. Yay me, right? The next day however, my attending pulls me over and asks me what sort of mask I was wearing when I went into the patient's room on that 7th time, and my heart just fucking plummets. I stutter out I was wearing the wrong mask. On a high flow air treatment, you have to wear an FFP3 mask. I only wore a regular surgical mask because that was the only mask at the gear station. Think back on how I leaned over the patient to get the arterial blood sample with the ultrasound scanner. I remember how I held the patient's hand, telling the patient we were doing everything we could and we were going to transfer to ICU. I remember the patient coughing, me standing right next to the bed, just breathing in the COVID fumes. All the times I've seen COVID patients, all the times I've put on the correct gear, and this one time I managed to screw up. Currently at home in isolation, waiting for the COVID tests, while all my colleagues are working their butts off at the ER. Too long didn't read. I am a dumb doctor at work, forgot to wear the right protective gear and got coughed in the face by a COVID patient. COVID sucks, wear your masks. Edit 1, also worth noting, and because I've gotten a few messages about it, the standard PPE for COVID or suspected COVID cases is different from place to place, as are the procedures. Where I work the standard gear is a face shield, a surgical mask, gloves and a coat, which is only to be worn once. If there is a risk of aerosols, such as high flow air treatment or cardiac arrest treatment, we are allowed to wear FFP2/FFP3, N95 and N99, but they are also only for one-time use. These sorts of masks will not be at the PPE stations unless there is a need for it. Edit 2. Thank you all for your kind words and well wishes. You are all wonderful people who make me feel a little better about the situation. I am waiting to get tested on the 4th and 7th day of exposure, and hopefully they will come back negative so I can get back in the field. And then I will never forget to put on the right gear again. And to all my fellow healthcare workers, stay safe out there. I'm a nurse, a relatively new nurse at that. This post made my heart race. I am so sorry this happened to you. This probably doesn't help, but you sounds like an amazing provider with excellent bedside manner. I wish more doctors like you existed, and I thank you for everything you do for your patients and healthcare team. Thank you. Although the nurse was the real trooper here, she stayed with the patient for hours, all dressed up in protective gear, making sure the patient was cared for. And she remembered to wear all the right protective gear. I hope the results come back negative. Stay positive, buddy. Stay negative. In no ways dumb, just pushed to the limits of what a human can deal with. Thank you for everything you're doing, and fingers crossed for your test results. Stay well. I forgot my drink on the roof of my car and I wasn't even in a rush and no one was dying. This is far from dumb op. Thank you for everything and I hope I never have to meet you. I talk to the ICU, because this patient is rapidly deteriorating and there is one spot free, so I nabbed that like a greedy little gremlin. I simultaneously chuckled at the verbiage and cringed at the situation. Translation for my fellow North Americans: FFP3 is the European standard for what we here would call an N99 mask. The N95 you hear discussed so often here would be an FFP2. Today I fucked up by I using cucumber as a dildo. Okay, so this just happened and can't I believe it. Anyways, I, 26M, was feeling horny, decided to use a cucumber with a condom on as a dildo, as I have been staying at my parents' house for a while now and did not bring any of my adult toys. I grabbed a cucumber from the fridge, grabbed my poppers and went to town on my butthole. After I finished playing with myself, I take off the condom for easy cleanup, go discreetly dispose of the evidence and shower to clean myself off. This is where the fuck up begins. I know it's wasteful, but I was going to throw away the cucumber, as it has been shoved up my ass for at least 25 minutes. As I was throwing it away, my mom comes in the kitchen to start dinner. First thing she asked me is to hand her the cucumber for her to start cutting for the salad. I pretend to drop it, so I can wash it for use, but still, I won't get the thought I ate my cucumber dildo with my family. It's not even a big deal. I made sure to thoroughly wash it. I was imagining it sliding in and out of my butt. Too long didn't read. My family and I ate my cucumber dildo. Edit: since some people are asking, poppers is an inhalant sold at adult stores that make you feel dizzy and lightheaded for a couple minutes, but sex feels amazing. Edit 2, everyone's saying I deleted my post history. Yeah, my account is a throwaway to share my deepest darkest stuff. I delete posts over time to remain anon, especially when you make front page. Edit: 3, since no one believes me shoving a cucumber up my ass, I will go find a nice one tomorrow or a similar size butt plug. Edit: 4, since everyone's hating and saying this a repost, I would love to see a Reddit post like mine, other than a porn clip. I fucked up, it blew up, I got fucked, deal with it. We can't use this one, mum. It's got a condom on. Then take it off. Jesus Christ, how dense can one be? Didn't your parents teach you not to play with your food? Frown. No dessert until you've finished with your vegetables, cucumber. At least you had a condom on. Safe sex. Isn't that what VeggieTales is all about? You need to have a contingency plan for such things. In that scenario, I would pretend to smell it and tell them it smells shitty and rotten. Then you throw it in the trash and offer to drive to the grocery store. Also, you shouldn't anally masturbate with anything that doesn't have a flange/base. You may think it's not far up there, but when you come, your butt muscles can suck it in deeper. This happened to a friend of mine. Yep, a friend. You shouldn't anally masturbate with anything that doesn't have a flange/base. That's why humans bred the butternut squash into the shape it is. If it was a tossed salad, I can die happy. Today I fucked up by going through my parents' trash. So this happened on Christmas night. My 30M wife, 28F, and I are visiting my parents' house for Christmas. Earlier in the week my dad had given each child and spouse $100 each in an envelope in place of doing stockings this year. My wife put hers in a safe spot and I put mine on top of the dresser in our room. A few days later my wife was cleaning up and thought she had looked in the envelope to make sure it was empty before she threw it away. Christmas came and gone and we were packing up to leave, when I noticed I didn't pack the money and couldn't find it. We searched through pockets, bags, and the house and couldn't find it. My wife vaguely remembered tidying up and states she might have thrown the envelope away a few days ago. So I decided to go through the trash in hopes of finding it. I calculated back the days and guesstimated which bag it would have been in. I donned some disposal gloves and start digging. While digging I found a box of unopened toilet bowl cleaner tablets, the kind that turn the water blue each flush. Earlier that day it was brought up why my father refuses to use the master bathroom connected to their bedroom and instead uses a smaller hallway one. It is because my mother started using these blue toilet tablets and he can't stand the smell or sight of them. My mother's argument as to why she still uses them is because she does the cleaning of that bathroom, and that's what she likes. Remembering my mother uses these tablets and assuming my father threw them away without her knowing, I pull them out thinking it would be funny to stir the pot. Boy, was I wrong. When I explained I was missing money and went through the trash, I asked my mother why those toilet tablets were in the garbage and she lost it. She started yelling at my dad asking, do I have to start going through the trash regularly again, and what else have you thrown away? Furious at him for throwing them away. Apparently this has been an issue before in their marriage, that he would throw away things he doesn't like, and I just caught him doing it again. I have never seen my mother that angry and yelling. After she left the kitchen where this all went down, my dad went to the trash can and took out a decorative ceramic Christmas cookie platter and said just to be safe as he set it back on the counter. A plate of cookies was gifted to them on it. As we left the next morning, she was still upset at him. But on a high note, we found the $100 in the trash. TL, doctor, I went through my parents' trash looking for misplaced money, and found my dad has been throwing away my mom's stuff without her knowing, causing a big fight. My dad has this habit too. If anything is missing in the house, it is probably his doing. I have started hiding important documents from him. My ex used to throw away bills, electric, cable, etc. If he didn't feel like paying them. We'd start getting disconnect notices and then he'd say, I must have forgot to pay that one. I finally just took over paying the bills, which he hated because it put an end to his reckless spending. My GF throws away everything she doesn't use. Even if I may now Christmas is open and shops are closed, I find out she threw out the coffee. FML. My wife and I have an understanding, if it isn't yours, don't fuck with it. If it's ours, don't fuck with it until talking to the other. It's a simple system that has worked for us for our almost 20 years together. You'd think that'd be standard. Wahaha. I was expecting a used condom story or something along those lines. Sorry, dirty mind at work here. I was expecting him to find the packaging of the parents' Christmas gifts to themselves. Sex toy boxes, lingerie tags, and the like. My so would throw my books away. If the subject matter upset her, the book would mysteriously disappear. I purchased 4 editions of George Patton's biography before I realized what was going on. That's really messed up. She kept throwing it away and lied about it? WTF? Question mark.